Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
In the sky, one starry night was speeding towards the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. With Starry Night's current speed, it would only take half an hour at most to travel from Blazing Sun City to the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. In addition, he also wanted to see the current situation in the various regions of the Aurora Kingdom, so he did not use the spatial teleportation array to travel there. Still, when Zhou Zhou sat in the Starry Night's captain's cabin and looked at the situation of the Aurora Kingdom's territory on the virtual screen in front of him, he could not help but fall silent. The city buildings had turned into ruins. Countless corpses of Aurora Kingdom subjects littered the ground. Their deaths were tragic, causing one to feel a chill in their hearts. The closer he got to the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, the more such situations occurred. At the end, Zhou Zhou came to a conclusion that made his heart sink. Most of the cities and subjects in the Aurora Kingdom had probably perished in the war. At the same time, Bai Yun was also behind Zhou Zhou, looking at the virtual screen in front of him. While she couldn't bear to watch, she was also a little puzzled. I can understand why the Tan Kingdom chose to massacre the city. The Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord have always been on opposing sides. It's almost impossible for them to coexist after all. But why did they destroy the city like this? Aren't they going to occupy this place? She asked doubtfully. To the fog monsters, some of the blueprint buildings could also be used. The Tan Kingdom's current war strategy should focus on speed. They want to take down the entire Aurora Kingdom as soon as possible. That's why they didn't pay attention to preserving the buildings in the city when they attacked. They should be a little anxious after being attacked by the Titan Kingdom. Zhou Zhou said. Bai Yun nodded in realization, but felt a little regretful instantly. In these destroyed cities, every city had a large number of life profession buildings and other types of blueprint buildings. These buildings are arguably the most valuable property in the city. Unexpectedly, it was destroyed just like that. Bai Yun shook her head and stopped thinking about it. A moment later, Aurora Kingdom, King's City. When Zhou Zhou arrived, he saw a huge change in the scene. Not only were there fewer residents, most of the remaining residents also looked uneasy. More than half of the shops in the capital had been closed. It looked rather desolate. It was not as prosperous as the first time he came the day before yesterday. Zhou Zhou, Bai Yi, and the others were shocked when they saw this scene. He almost couldn't recognize that this was the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. It should be because the news of the Tan Kingdom's offensive had reached the capital that it became like this, right? Zhou Zhou thought. He pursed his lips and his gaze became firm. He wanted to grow stronger and not let this happen to his territory. He then asked Wenya to stop the flying ship in a remote place and let everyone out. Then, it was just like the last time he came. Nazario was responsible for patrolling the sky above the capital to protect himself. 10,000 white platinum tier soldiers and 500 diamond rank soldiers were hiding near the capital's gate, waiting for the signal to rush out at any time to protect them. Bai Yun and the 3 subordinates of the extraordinary tier elementary grade monsters followed him into the capital. The general guarding the capital had obviously received orders from his superiors. When he saw Zhou Zhou arrive, he immediately politely invited him and his subordinates to the palace for a meeting. Zhou Zhou and the others naturally did not refuse. They followed the guardian into the palace and saw Li Yuangan in a palace called the Heaven and Earth Palace. At this moment, even though Li Yuangan still looked young, his expression was serious. He was not much happier about this matter. On the contrary, at this moment, he was not in a good mood facing the increasingly serious war situation in the country. However, when he saw Zhou Zhou, Bai Yi, and the others enter, he was stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. Then, he asked, Lord of the Blazing Sun, how is my daughter? Li Yao is still asleep. I can't save her for the time being. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Holy Spirit tier faith divine crystals were not so easy to obtain. Even if he had the mythical tier, the only Lord talent, like the King of Lutes, he still had to rely on luck to obtain it. Li Yuangan's expression darkened when he heard that, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he smiled and said, It's fine. Just take it slow. Currently, Zhou Zhou was his only hope of saving his daughter. In addition, he knew that the other party really wanted to save his daughter, so he did not want to give the other party too much pressure. Zhou Zhou nodded and got down to business. Your Majesty, we came here today mainly for two things. The first thing is the special method I used last time. I plan to do it again today. Li Yuangan's eyes lit up. He had not forgotten the magical incident where the other party had only raised his right hand and reduced the pressure of the attack they faced. Second thing, I just want to ask if you have any life elemental gems and death elemental gems here. I can buy them. Zhou Zhou said, life elemental gems and death elemental gems? Yes. However, most of the gems were used to upgrade my territory. There's not much left. Li Yuangan only thought for a moment before giving an answer. As long as you have it. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. Li Yuangan nodded and called an eunuch over. Yuan Jie, go to the National Treasury and get all the remaining life elemental gems and death elemental gems. Yes, Your Majesty. Eunuch Yuan Jie nodded and left respectfully. Your Majesty, where did you get these life elemental gems and death elemental gems? Zhou Zhou asked curiously while the other party was getting the gems. This gemstone was plundered from the territory of our Aurora Kingdom during the war with the Titan Kingdom. Under the civilization of the Titan Kingdom's race, there are many rare minerals in the territory that they don't know how to use. As a result, they have wasted a large number of good resources. If it weren't for the fact that their physical talent was too outstanding and completely erased the previous combat strength gap between us, their Titan Kingdom would have long been divided up by the surrounding kingdom-level forces. Li Yuangan shook his head. Are there no life elemental gems or death elemental gems elsewhere? Zhou Zhou asked. No. Li Yuangan shook his head without hesitation. The Aurora Kingdom had been standing in this region for hundreds of years. They could still give an affirmative answer to this matter. What if only the Titan Kingdom had the mineral resources of the life elemental gems and the death elemental gems? Wouldn't it be coveted by the surrounding kingdom-level forces? Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. The life elemental gems and the death elemental gems were important resources for the white platinum tier territory to continue leveling up. Any ambitious lord would not watch helplessly as these resources were right in front of them and not choose to obtain them. It was like this at first. Li Yuangan nodded emotionally and agreed with Zhou Zhou. However, the Titan Kingdom is very strong. Their physical bodies are incomparably strong from birth, and their combat talent is extremely high. At its peak, it could even fight against the three kingdoms, Aurora Kingdom, Taiyan Kingdom, and Netherbark Kingdom. It even defeated three kingdoms. Even though the other party suffered heavy casualties in the end, the other party's powerful body and natural combat talent made us not dare to act rashly. Later on, our Aurora Kingdom and the Taiyan Kingdom had no other choice. In the end, we chose to fight head-on to plunder the high-level elemental gem resources in their territory. The Netherbark Kingdom chose to cooperate with the Titan Kingdom and obtained these two high-level elemental gem resources. Actually, the reason for our war is not only because of the high-level elemental gem resources. Apart from the hatred accumulated over hundreds of years of war, the Titan Kingdom itself is a race that loves to wage wars. In addition, they are born to love to devour the flesh and blood of life forms. Therefore, nearly 1 million human subjects are devoured and killed by the Titans every year in the border territories of the Aurora Kingdom. Anger flashed across Li Yuangan's eyes as he spoke. When he was young, he had once led troops out to fight. He had seen an extraordinary tier Titan hero with his own eyes. It devoured more than 100,000 people in an entire town with a single bite. That nightmare-like scene was something he could not forget for decades. After experiencing dozens of similar incidents of all sizes, he decided to make destroying the Titans his mission for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, a hint of self-deprecation flashed across his eyes. He could not even protect himself, yet he still wanted to destroy the other party? The most ridiculous thing was, the reason why the pressure of the war on their side was relieved was all thanks to the Titan Kingdom's support. Fate really made fools of people. So that was how it was. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought. Li Yuangan's words outlined a strategic relationship map of the four kingdoms in his mind. It seemed that he would have to deal with this Titan kingdom in the future in order to upgrade his territory. Zhou Zhou thought. At this moment, eunuch Yuan Jie came over. Your Majesty, these are all the life elemental gems and death elemental gems in the treasury, he said respectfully. Give them all to the Lord of the Blazing Sun beside you. Li Yuangan said. Eunuch Yuan Jie was stunned. Then, he silently handed a spatial ring to Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou took it and looked inside after recognizing it as his master. This was a spatial ring with 25 cubic meters. There was a small pile of green gems and a small pile of black gems inside. They were life elemental gems and the death elemental gems. Zhou Zhou counted and realized that there were 512 life elemental gems and 633 death elemental gems. Zhou Zhou was delighted at first, but then he thought of something and frowned slightly. The upgrade requirement for his territory was 1,000 high-level elemental gems each. There were naturally enough thunder element gems. However, the other two elemental gems were still not enough even with these. He opened the marketplace and looked at the transaction he had announced previously. After a night of acquisition, he had already bought 355 life elemental gems and 212 death elemental gems. I still need 133 life elemental gems and 155 death elemental gems. Zhou Zhou calculated in his heart and nodded. At this speed, he might be able to collect all the gem resources in the upgraded territory tonight or tomorrow morning. At that time, he could directly upgrade his territory. I can buy each of these high-level elemental gems with a white platinum tier mist core. Can your Majesty accept it? Zhou Zhou asked. Li Yuangan shook his head. You've done me and my kingdom a huge favor. What are some high-level elemental gems? If you need them, I'll give them all to you. Zhou Zhou was stunned. Then, he agreed and did not refuse. After that, Zhou Zhou and the others did not chat with Li Yuangan about anything else. After knowing that the Aurora Kingdom's war was currently in a diamond-tier regional territory, the Mighty Kingdom, they brought everyone and used the spatial teleportation array to arrive at the Mighty Kingdom. Mighty Kingdom. Spatial teleportation array. A black spaceship with star-like light spots on its surface suddenly appeared above the spatial teleportation array as a silver-white light flashed. It was the Starry Night. Then, the hatch under the Starry Night opened, and a white light shone on the ground. Then, Zhou Zhou, Bai Yun, Li Yuangan, and the others flew down from the spaceship along with the white light. This is the first time I've been on a spaceship in my life. This should be a technological creation of the Machina race, right? After Li Yuangan landed steadily on the ground, he felt a little emotional and asked curiously, Your Majesty, have you seen the technological creations of the Machina race before? Zhou Zhou nodded and asked curiously. I've seen some, but they're all low-end technology. They're not as advanced as your spaceship. As for the Machina race, I've never seen them before. Li Yuangan said. At this moment, a thin, bald general with obvious muscles walked over. Greetings, Your Majesty. Greetings, Lord of the Blazing Sun, he said respectfully. And this is? Zhou Zhou asked. His name is Zhang Yu. It's the city lord of the Mighty Kingdom and one of the generals of my Aurora Kingdom. He's not simple. He's the owner of our Aurora Kingdom's strongest lord talent, the Power Overlord. The Power Overlord has a diamond-tier lord talent. As long as he trains it, his strength can constantly increase. Zhang Yu became a lord as soon as he reached adulthood. More than 30 years have passed. He persists in training his strength every day. In terms of strength, even the three heroes of our Aurora Kingdom can't compare to this boorish fellow. Li Yuangan smiled. Zhang Yu did not say anything and only scratched his bald head in embarrassment. Call him City Lord Zhang. When Zhou Zhou heard this, he immediately smiled and extended his hand in a handshake. Zhang Yu was stunned. However, even though he had never seen such etiquette before, he still tried to reach out and shake Zhou Zhou's hand. Zhou Zhou smiled. Master Thief's robbery gloves. Activate. A virtual screen immediately appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. It displayed the various items that Zhang Yu could steal and the corresponding success rate. There was no doubt. The success rate was above 90%. Zhou Zhou scanned it briefly before his gaze landed on the other party's Diamond Tier Lord talent fragment. He realized that there were a total of 4 Diamond Tier Lord talent crystal fragments. There was nothing to say. He would steal it directly. After the theft was successful, Zhou Zhou smiled and retracted his hand. Awesome. Now, there were only 6 Diamond Tier Lord talent crystal fragments left to upgrade the blessing of the war god. This is the etiquette of meeting friends from our hometown. I hope General Zhang doesn't mind. Zhou Zhou retracted his right hand and smiled as usual. Zhang Yu did not feel like he had lost anything at all. He immediately shook his head and said, Lord of the Blazing Sun, you're too kind. How can I mind? All right, let's get down to business. How's the battle going? Li Yuangon interrupted. Your Majesty, we just repelled a round of their offensive. According to the other party's attack habits, the next round of offensive will probably begin in half an hour. Li Yuangon and Zhou Zhou nodded. Especially Zhou Zhou. In half an hour. I wonder how many monster subordinates I can instigate using insight defection this time? He was looking forward to it. How are the immortal Xiaoyang and the heavenly light knight? Li Yuangon asked. The heavenly light knights are supervising the battle. As for immortal Xiaoyang, because previously, the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wuxin appeared on the battlefield and wanted to slaughter our soldiers. Later on, immortal Xiaoyang and the heavenly light knight attacked together to stop the other party. However, immortal Xiaoyang was injured by an arrow from the other party's sneak attack. However, it's only a medium-level injury and his life is not in danger. However, immortal Xiaoyang shouldn't be able to enter the battlefield again for the time being. Zhang Yu said, Xiaoyang is injured? Where is he now? Li Yuangon immediately asked anxiously. Immortal Xiaoyang and the Heavenly Light Knight were 2 of the 3 heroes of the Aurora Kingdom. There was also a hero called the Dark Spirit Mage who was killed by the joint sneak attack of the other party's 3 Scarlet heroes in a previous battle against the invasion of the Taiyan Kingdom. The death of the Dark Spirit Mage had already made Li Yuangon extremely sad. He did not expect to receive this news again. How could he not be anxious? Immortal Xiaoyang is resting in a temporary residence. I can bring His Majesty there. Zhang Yu said. Li Yuangon nodded and was about to walk away when he suddenly thought of something. He looked at Zhou Zhou and asked, Do you want to go with me? I can introduce you to immortal Xiaoyang. Let's meet again next time. I still have something urgent to do. I'll leave immediately after using my methods here. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Li Yuangon shook his head regretfully. It was unknown if it was a pity that he did not bring Zhou Zhou to see immortal Xiaoyang, or if it was a pity that he could not see Zhou Zhou's magical methods again. Zhang Yu, you don't have to accompany me. Just find a trustworthy subordinate who knows the location and bring me there. As for you, accompany this Lord of the Blazing Sun first. As for military decisions, you will decide everything before I return. Li Yuangon said, Yes, Your Majesty. Zhang Yu nodded and sent someone to call over an adjutant and asked him to bring Li Yuangon to immortal Xiaoyang's residence. Lord of the Blazing Sun, what do you need? You can tell me whatever you want. There's nothing I can't do in the mighty kingdom. Zhang Yu patted his chest. Zhou Zhou smiled at him and did not make things difficult for him. Then, General, please bring me to see those fog monsters. Then follow me to the city wall to take a look. They should attack in half an hour. At that time, you can look at them however you want, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Even if you want to charge into the enemy army to take a look, I, Zhang Yu, can protect your life as long as the other party's hero doesn't appear. Zhang Yu said confidently. Thank you, General. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. Then, Zhou Zhou and the others followed Zhang Yu to the city wall. Soon, everyone arrived at the city wall. Everyone looked up and saw that the huge ground was filled with corpses. There were humans and fog monsters. The blood of both sides mixed together, making the current battlefield even more bloody. How's the enemy's strength now? Zhou Zhou asked calmly. Currently, the Taiyan Kingdom still has 600,000 troops left in our mighty kingdom. And our mighty kingdom gathers the entire military strength of the Aurora Kingdom. There are a total of 200,000 of them. Zhang Yu replied. Zhou Zhou frowned. Why are the casualties so heavy? The Aurora Kingdom still had about 500,000 men strong the last time he came. 300,000 soldiers died in a day. Zhou Zhou took a deep breath and felt the cruelty of war. Lord of the Blazing Sun, don't worry. Even though our Aurora Kingdom's military strength is far less than the other parties. But this is the district of our Aurora Kingdom after all. Whether it's the terrain, resources, war machines, morale, and other advantages, we're far superior to the other party. Therefore, even if we only have 200,000 troops, in my opinion, as long as nothing unexpected happens, we won't have a problem stopping the other party for another week. Zhang Yu said firmly. Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before nodding. No matter what the final truth was, having such confidence was better than nothing. In the time that followed, Zhou Zhou chatted with the other party about more things about the Tang Kingdom and the Aurora Kingdom, including the characteristics of the heroes of the two kingdoms. Soon, half an hour passed. Wu Qi, Takuma, Sashiko. All kinds of furious roars sounded from the edge of the battlefield tens of thousands of meters away. Then, Zhou Zhou and the others saw dense fog monsters surge over from afar like a tidal wave. Among them were monsters running on the ground and flying in the sky. He could not see any gaps at a glance, giving him an extremely despairing feeling. With a thought, Zhou Zhou sent a message to the 500 diamond tier soldiers under the city wall and asked them to wait for the city gate to open. Then, they would leave the city and kill their way out. Then, they would immediately return. The soldiers accepted the order. Then, Zhou Zhou looked at Bai Yun beside him. Bai Yun, you're in charge of leading the team this time. At that time, temporarily hide your heroic aura among the soldiers. If the other party's hero attacks, counterattack and immediately lead the troops back. Yes, my lord, Bai Yun said respectfully. Then, he quickly walked down the city wall and led the team. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou told Zhang Yu about this. Open the city gate. Zhang Yu frowned slightly. In a situation where the difference in strength between the enemy was huge, the best way to defend was to defend the city. Opening the city gate was a very dangerous action. However, he quickly thought of His Majesty's orders, and his eyes became firm. All right, I'll get the soldiers to open the city gate now. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Opening the city gate was also a last resort. Previously, a large part of the reason why he could make his soldiers jump down from the city wall and charge into the enemy camp before jumping back to the city wall was because the city wall was not tall enough. As a diamond-tier regional territory, the mighty kingdom's city wall was 1,000 meters tall. At such a high distance, even if his 500 diamond-tier soldiers could jump down without being injured, it would be difficult for them to jump up again. Since that was the case, it was better to let Zhang Yu be prepared now. Don't worry. My soldiers will be back soon. When the time comes, just close the city gate immediately. Zhou Zhou comforted Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu heaved a sigh of relief, but his expression was still a little serious. Soon, the door of the mighty kingdom was opened. 500 soldiers and Bai Yun immediately rushed out of the city, turning into 500 afterimages as they charged towards the other party's 600,000-strong army. When they saw these 501 soldiers, not only were the fog monsters opposite them stunned, even Zhang Yu and the other soldiers on the city wall were stunned. Then, Zhang Yu's expression shook. This was because he could tell that these 501 soldiers were actually diamond-tier experts like him. Oh my god! Zhang Yu was stunned. City Lord of the Blazing Sun, are those your soldiers? He swallowed and asked Zhou Zhou carefully. He could not help but use the honorific your. Yes. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Zhang Yu swallowed again. No wonder. No wonder this lord dared to let 500 soldiers attack the other party's 600,000-strong army. There were a total of 500 diamond-tier soldiers after all. Even though they could not kill all the fog monsters opposite them, the other party's 600,000 troops would definitely not be able to stop these 501 diamond-tier soldiers without the hero appearing. They might be able to escape with slight losses of some soldiers even if the hero from the opposing side attacked, with the strength of these 500 soldiers. Thinking of this, Zhang Yu thought even more highly of this Lord of the Blazing Sun. The name of the Lord of the Blazing Sun had been circulating in the Aurora Kingdom for a long time. However, at that time, the legendary tier Lord of the Blazing Sun was a lord with good potential. He could try to rope him in. He did not just have good potential from the looks of it. This was clearly because his potential had already turned into strength. Moreover, he might already be stronger than the current Aurora Kingdom. He had more than 500 diamond tier soldiers alone after all. Then the total number of other low-level soldiers would probably be hundreds of thousands. Thinking of this, Zhang Yu instantly felt deep reverence for the Lord of the Blazing Sun in front of him. Zhou Zhou did not notice Zhang Yu's expression. He had been looking at the distant battlefield. On the battlefield, when Bai Yun secretly led 500 diamond tier soldiers to charge at the enemy's 600,000 strong army, even though this scene stunned the other party, they quickly reacted and rushed towards the other party with ferocious expressions. Some of the high-level generals did not take it to heart, even though they could tell that the other party was very strong. This was because they knew that behind them was the #1 hero-level marksman in the Taiyan Kingdom, the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Lord Wuxin. As expected, in the next second, an illusory ice-blue arrow shot out of the fog monster army and shot straight at the 500 blazing Sun City soldiers. To be precise, it was aimed at Bai Yun, who was among the soldiers. At this moment, Bai Yun, who was hiding among the soldiers, was a little surprised. She did not expect the other party's hero to attack first before they could even fight. At this moment, she did not realize that this arrow was specially aimed at her. However, Bai Yun did not hesitate and drew her bow. Blood-colored arrow chi condensed from the 500 diamond tier soldiers. Then, it condensed on the blood bow in a certain military formation, forming a long wolf head blood crystal arrow. This was a new hero skill that Bai Yun had just created in the past 2 days. It used the hero skill, Blood Fire Meteor, as its foundation and the greedy wolf howling moon array as a modified template. It gathered thousands of blood fire arrow chi on an arrow and formed a fatal arrow. Its name was Hero Skill, Greedy Wolf Devouring Arrow. Roar. A divine wolf roar that seemed to come from the core of the star sounded. The next second, the blood crystal divine arrow shot out, and the image of a divine wolf in blood-colored armor vaguely appeared around its body. After it shot out, it streaked across the sky in the blink of an eye and instantly arrived in front of the ice-blue arrow. Then, the divine wolf opened its mouth and swallowed the greedy wolf devouring arrow in front of everyone. Then, it went straight to the source of the arrow, the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wuxin. Behind the battlefield, the Ice Soul Sword Demon was a tall humanoid monster with snow-white fur on its surface and light blue fur, but its face was pitch black. It looked at Bai Yun, who was hidden among the 500 soldiers, and its ice-blue eyes revealed a bone-chilling coldness. It mocked in its heart. It could tell that the other party seemed to have mastered a few skills to hide its traces. If other heroes came, they might not be able to see through the other party's methods. However, it was the #1 hero-level marksman in the Taiyan Kingdom. Other methods might not be as good as other heroes. However, in terms of archery cultivation and vision, he was confident that no hero could compare to it in these 2 aspects throughout Aurora Kingdom, Taiyan, Titan, and the Netherbark Kingdom. Therefore, not only could it tell at a glance that Bai Yun was hiding among the soldiers, but it could also tell that she was a diamond-tier elementary-grade human hero. Moreover, her hero slot was not low. When it realized this, it immediately had the intention to kill the other party. Therefore, it immediately raised its bow and drew its arrow, shooting its strongest arrow. Hero Skill, Ice and Snow Soul Sealing. It was confident that this arrow could kill the other party with 1 arrow. This was because its hero skill was specially targeted at the soul. Once such an arrow was fired, very few life forms could survive this arrow. One of the 3 heroes of the Aurora Kingdom, the Dark Spirit Mage, had died under its arrow. However, its expression changed when it saw Bai Yun reflect the blood crystal divine arrow. Legendary tier arrow. She has a legendary tier hero fate level slot? It found it very unbelievable. However, even though it was unwilling to believe this fact, its body still turned around and flew away obediently. However, this arrow seemed to have eyes as it chased closely behind Wuxin and approached it at an astonishing speed. In the end, it struck Wuxin. Rumble. An astonishing explosion sounded, blasting out a huge blood-colored cloud. The cloud vaguely formed the image of a blood-colored divine wolf. This blood-colored divine wolf was biting a monster with light blue fur. It was the Ice Soul Sword Spirit, Wuxin. Ah! Screams sounded one after another. 4 to 5 seconds later, the Ice Soul Sword Spirit unintentionally rushed out of the blood-colored cloud and fled into the distance. On the battlefield, both sides fell silent. The Fog Monster army was confused. They did not expect their greatest spiritual pillar and strength pillar to be defeated and driven away at the beginning of the battle. Bai Yun also looked at her bow and arrow thoughtfully, her entire body emitting an unstable pressure. However, she did not forget her mission. She immediately led the soldiers into the other party's army to kill and plunder. Then, she retreated to the mighty kingdom before the other party surrounded her. On the city wall of the mighty kingdom, when Zhou Zhou saw this, he raised his right hand without hesitation. Yellow gold tier Lord Talent. Insight defection. Activate. Boom. An invisible fluctuation instantly covered the 600,000 fog monsters. The next second, a total of 70,000 fog monsters' bodies stiffened. Then, the expression in their eyes changed. And they began to feign that they were still fighting while quietly retreating. Even though there were already more than 70,000 fog monsters, they did not notice this because their hero, the Ice Soul Sword Spirit, Wuxin, had already escaped. On the other side, after Zhou Zhou activated Insight Defection, he looked at the Lord Talent hint. Prompt. You have activated your Lord's exclusive talent, Insight Defection. Insight Defection has taken effect. Lord Talent notification. A total of 23,971 Black Iron Tier Fog Monsters, 29, 64 Green Bronze Tier Fog Monsters, 11,332 White Silver Tier Fog Monsters, 12, 31 Yellow Gold Tier Fog Monsters, 8,134 White Platinum Tier Fog Monsters, 224 Diamond Tier Fog Monsters, and 9 Extraordinary Tier Fog Monsters have betrayed their Lord's faction and become your loyal subordinates. A smile appeared on Zhou Zhou's face. Even though Insight Defection made 74,865 monster subordinates this time, there were actually 9 Extraordinary Tier Fog Monsters among them, even more than the last Insight Defection. What a pleasant surprise. Then, he looked at the notification that had just appeared. Your subject Blood Fire Arrow Elf by Yun's hero biography has been updated. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. The hero biography has been updated? Zhou Zhou was a little surprised. Was it because she fought the other party's hero and repelled them? Honestly, he was a little stunned when he saw Bai Yun repel the Ice Soul Sword Spirit, Wuxin. According to his understanding, the Ice Soul Sword Spirit was a standard extraordinary tier intermediate grade hero. Bai Yun was only a diamond tier elementary grade hero. Even though there was a difference in fate between the two, it shouldn't be so great that Bai Yun could directly defeat someone of a higher level, right? But that was the truth. With this question in mind, Zhou Zhou opened Bai Yun's hero biography. Then, he knew the reason. Subject: Bai Yun, Hero Unit. Hero Title: Blood Fire Arrow Elf. Position: Legendary Tier Hero Fate Level, Fake. Territory: Blazing Sun Territory. Strength Level: Diamond Tier Elementary Grade. Ability Overview: A hero with both human bloodline and high-level Wood Elf bloodline. Her body contains powerful energy, and she is proficient in elemental archery. She is a hero that can make enemies tremble in fear on the battlefield. Human bloodline, White Silver Tier Intermediate Grade, 75%. High-level Wood Elves bloodline, Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade, 25%. Skills: Hero Skill, Blood Fire Arrow Rain. Hero Skill: Morale stability, hero skill, silent march, hero skill, greedy wolf devouring arrow, legendary tier advanced grade tree of life meditation technique, white platinum tier elementary grade battle array theory, diamond tier elementary grade wood elemental control, diamond tier elementary grade fire elemental control, diamond tier elementary grade blood elemental control. Loyalty, 100. Potential, legendary tier. Hero biography, 1. Under the blessing of the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he obtained the hero inheritance of the Blood Fire Arrow Elf and became the second-generation Blood Fire Arrow Elf. The hero's personal reputation rating +1, the elf race's reputation +10,000, the High Continent's reputation +52. Blood Fire Arrow Elf by Yun comprehended the path of the military formation and gradually understood how to break through his own shackles and become a legendary tier hero. 3. In order to protect the friendly country, the Blood Fire Arrow Elf led 500 soldiers to attack the 60,000-strong Fog Monster Army and used the power of an arrow to severely injure the enemy's extraordinary tier intermediate grade hero, breaking the enemy's fighting spirit. Prompt: creating more hero biographies can increase the probability of the legendary tier hero fate level turning into reality. Zhou Zhou's eyes widened. Good God! 2 more hero biographies. Moreover, the second hero biography also stated that Bai Yun had already comprehended the path of a legendary tier hero through comprehending the path of military formations. A legendary tier hero. A hero second only to a divine tier hero. It could be said to be at the peak of the mortal realm. A few days ago, Bai Yun had told him that she already had her own understanding of the greedy wolf howling moon array. He did not expect this. Zhou Zhou was pleasantly surprised. It was not in vain that he had invested so much effort and resources in Bai Yun. Moreover, Zhou Zhou also realized something. That was, the advancement of heroes did not seem to have much to do with aptitude and bloodline. Depending on the conditions for the hero to advance, it was often because this hero had done something special. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought. In that case, even ordinary life forms with very low potential might have a chance of becoming heroes. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. At this moment, Bai Yun had already led her troops back into the city. The soldiers guarding the city quickly closed the city gate. Fortunately, the other party's 500,000 odd troops had lost their command because their hero had escaped with serious injuries. The army was a little chaotic, and for a moment, no enemy could rush to the city gate. "I've something to report, my lord. We've completed the mission," Bai Yun said respectfully. Zhang Yu and the others looked at her in awe. They now understood that this female general was a hero. Zhou Zhou nodded and smiled. "Bai Yun, this move of yours gave me a big surprise. It's all thanks to the Lord's cultivation and the help of teacher Wu Xian and the other siblings." Bai Yun did not take the credit at all. "You're right, but don't be humble about your own role. I'll reward you later." Zhou Zhou smiled. "Thank you, my lord." Bai Yun was looking forward to it. Even though she served the Lord only because she was loyal to him and did not care about rewards. But it had to be said. Every reward from the Lord was unimaginably rich. It's a pity that my hero fate level slot hasn't reached the legendary tier hero fate level yet. Otherwise, my arrow should be able to kill it with one arrow and not let it escape only with heavy injuries. Bai Yun said regretfully. When the surrounding people heard this, they clicked their tongues in their hearts. This lord actually had the intention to kill him? However, what the Lord of the Blazing Sun said next stunned everyone. Escape with serious injuries? That's not necessarily true. Zhou Zhou smiled. It was as if it was responding to his words. As soon as he finished speaking, a kill notification appeared in front of him. Your pet, Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario, has killed an extraordinary tier intermediate grade Ice Soul Arrow Demon. Heartless, Kingdom level Scarlet Hero. You have received plus 40 million promotion energy. Loots condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your pet, Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario, has obtained an additional 800 million promotion energy points. Your pet, Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario's hero biography has been updated. Your subject Blood Fire Arrow Elf by Yun's hero biography has been updated. Zhou Zhou felt that the promotion energy in his body, which was already more than 90%, had suddenly increased by about 1%. At the same time, roar. A dragon roar that shook the world sounded as if it was quite carefree and surprised. The next second, an 800-meter-tall, ferocious black-red figure flew towards the mighty kingdom with the terrifying heat of the endless fire territory. It was the Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario. Everyone was a little panicked at first, but when Zhou Zhou said that he was one of them, everyone was shocked and pleasantly surprised. They took a closer look. He suddenly realized that the dragon's dragon claws were holding onto a weak figure. Who's that? Why does it feel like the Ice Soul Arrow Demon that General Zheng drew for us, Wuxin? Zheng Yu suddenly became excited. What if * King resemblance? It's that monster, the Ice Soul Arrow Demon. He was so excited that he was incoherent. In the end, tears even flowed out. He knelt on the ground. His body was like a mountain, and he cried like a child. The surrounding soldiers also reacted and their eyes began to turn red. Because just yesterday, one of the 3 heroes of the Aurora Kingdom, the Dark Spirit Mage, died in front of the mighty kingdom because he wanted to protect them and the city under their feet. At that time, Zheng Yu, as the city lord of the mighty kingdom, could not do anything. He could only watch as the old man's soul was sealed by the other party's arrow, and he fell weakly onto the battlefield. In the end, even his corpse was torn apart by the other party's monster army. That scene made all the soldiers present extremely sad. That was why he was crying so sadly now. However, it was fine now. Even though they were not the ones who killed them, they felt much less anger, hatred, and guilt in their hearts now that the enemy who had killed the Dark Spirit Mage was dead. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Nazario flapped his dragon wings and slowly landed in an empty space in Mighty Kingdom. The surrounding subjects of the Mighty Kingdom looked at this huge dragon that was like the god of volcanoes in reverence and curiosity. They had already heard from the patrolling soldiers that this was a dragon general from the reinforcements and was on the side of the human race. It would not harm the human race as long as it did not take the initiative to provoke it. Just as people were admiring the domineering figure of this dragon, the group arrived in front of it. It was Zhou Zhou and the others. Woo! Nazario called out and pushed the corpse under its feet over. Zhou Zhou looked over. It was the corpse of the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wu Xin. Monster name, Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wuxin, Kingdom Level Scarlet Hero. Strength Level, Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade. Monster Description, one of the 3 Extraordinary Tier Scarlet Heroes of the Taiyan Kingdom. It is good at using an Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade arms, the Ice Soul Demon Bow. It is quite talented in archery. Later on, it even relied on itself and the Ice Soul Demon Bow in its hand to successfully walk its own hero path. It even received the admiration of the Crimson Overlord, so it is loyal to the Supreme Will. Loot's drop rate, 1000 Extraordinary Tier Mist Cores, drop rate, 100%, 400 Origin Crystals, drop rate, 100%, 1 Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Enhanceable Hero Skill, Heaven and Earth Heart Arrow, 1 Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Hero Skill, Ice Sealed Soul, 1 Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Ice Soul Bow, drop rate, 10%, 1 Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Enhanceable Skill Book, Heartless, drop rate, 5%, 1 Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Skill Book, Flying Arrow Avatar, drop rate, 5%, 1 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals, drop rate, 3%, 1 Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual, drop rate, 0.001%, 6 Black Iron Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, drop rate, 0%. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the Fanatic Believer Faith Divine Crystal in the loots, and his eyes lit up. He had finally obtained this Faith Divine Crystal. When he used the King of Loots to loot the corpse later, he would have a Holy Spirit level Faith Divine Crystal. He was lucky. He found the item to revive Li Ya on the 2nd day. He placed his hand on it without hesitation and began to extract it. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent Notification. Your loots have been enhanced by the King of Loots, perfect loots. Grade +1. Title hint. Your loots have been affected by the title of Strongest Lord. The number of loots has increased by 20%. Lord talent notification. You have obtained perfect loots, 120 epic tier mist cores, 480 origin crystals, 1 epic tier intermediate grade enhanceable hero skill, heart, arrow, heaven, and earth, 1 epic tier intermediate grade hero skill grade ice seal, 1 epic tier intermediate grade equipment, snow goddess chant, 1 epic tier intermediate grade flying arrow clone technique, 1 holy spirit tier scarlet crystals, 1 epic tier intermediate grade fragment, hero inheritance. Secret manual, 7 green bronze tier hero inheritance crystals. Whoosh. A large number of loots dropped, but they were instantly put into Zhou Zhou's spatial ring. The surrounding people only saw a flash of light before the corpse of the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wuxin, disappeared. Everyone's expressions became strange. They guessed that the reason why the corpse disappeared was probably because this famous Lord of the Blazing Sun had retrieved the loots. They did not expect that not a single loot was dropped. His luck was so bad. If I had known earlier, I would have recommended myself to this lord and let me extract it. I'm a lucky person by profession. What a pity. This is the corpse of a hero. Any item dropped is priceless. Shut up. This is our savior. How can you discuss him casually here? We're just saying. Zhou Zhou's 6 senses were astonishing, so he naturally heard the discussions around him. However, he did not care about their opinions. Who would have thought that I would have already exploded the loots? Moreover, even though he had a certain level of strength now and could even fight a beginner kingdom, however, making a fortune in silence was still a habit hidden in his bones. He looked at the loots in the spatial ring. There was naturally no need to mention the mist cores, origin crystals, scarlet crystals, and lord talent crystal fragments. As for the epic tier hero skills, equipment, and skill books, he took a rough look. In the end, he realized that this snow goddess's chant was actually tied to the hero skill, Great Ice Seal. Only by holding the snow goddess's chant could he use it to use the hero skill, Great Ice Seal. Zhou Zhou quickly understood when he thought about how Wuxin had used the Ice Soul Bow as the foundation to walk his path as an archer. Then, his gaze landed on the only epic tier growth skill, Heaven and Earth Heart Arrow. This was a skill with the same name as the other party's hero skill. Zhou Zhou guessed that the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wuxin, should have used the origin of this skill as the foundation to gradually create his own hero skill and walk his own hero path before becoming a hero. However, that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was, it was an enhanceable skill. Therefore, Zhou Zhou could also learn it, but he only obtained the Diamond Tier Elementary Grade version. He looked over. Skill name, Heaven and Earth Heart Arrow. Skill quality, Epic Tier Intermediate Grade, Enhanceable. Skill description, use the heart as the eye and the arrow as the end. No arrow can reach the heart. Zhou Zhou looked at the description of this skill for a long time, not sure what it meant. He did not think too much about it and learned it directly. Then, he understood the power of this skill. Its skill description meant 2 abilities. First, the archer could use his heart or mental strength to observe the world. The further his heart or mental strength was, the wider the range he could see. Secondly, as long as it was a place observed by the archer, the arrow he shot could hit it. It was useless even if it was related to cards, barriers, and other obstacles. This was because within the range of the archer's heart, he could even condense a heart arrow on the enemy's face and kill them. As for the upgrade of skills, it was the size of the range perceived by the heart and the power of the arrows shot out. Oh my god, top-notch archery skills. Zhou Zhou thought after reading it. Wasn't this referring to archery skills? Zhou Zhou was surprised. Then, he chose to learn without hesitation. As soon as he learned this skill, Zhou Zhou immediately felt a large amount of archery knowledge, skills, practical experiences, and even some mysterious archery concepts surge into his mind. After more than half an hour, Zhou Zhou was accepting this archery inheritance. During this period, Bai Yun also led 500 diamond tier soldiers to protect her lord dutifully. When Zhou Zhou woke up, his eyes were blank. Then, they condensed again in an instant. His eyes actually felt like arrows piercing through his soul. When Bai Yun sensed that her lord had woken up, she immediately came over to greet him. However, when she saw Zhou Zhou's gaze, she subconsciously took a step back. She was surprised. This was because she actually saw the familiar archery temperament in the lord's eyes. It was as if the person standing in front of her was not only her lord, but also an archer who had been immersed in archery cultivation for hundreds or thousands of years. On the other side, Zhou Zhou was also clicking his tongue at the Heaven and Earth Heart arrow skill. He only knew now. This Heaven and Earth Heart arrow was not just a skill. This was clearly an archery inheritance. The Heaven and Earth Heart arrow skill he accepted actually included all of Wu Xin's memories from the first time he came into contact with archery until now. The Heaven and Earth Heart arrow did not only increase the range of an archer's perception and mystical archery skills, it was also the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wu Xin's experience cultivating from nothing, from which he accumulated the archery realm. The current Zhou Zhou could instantly become a top archer of all races as long as he was given a bow and a quiver of arrows. Taking the enemy general's head with an arrow from hundreds of miles away was as easy as taking something out of his pocket. Zhou Zhou took a deep breath. A smile appeared on his face. It had to be said. He liked this ability inheritance more than those fancy skills. This was because skills could be banned or suppressed by other skills in some way. Or if he did not have energy in his body, he would not be able to use some skills that required energy. However, he did not know this saber technique inheritance and archery inheritance. Sometimes, he did not even need a designated professional weapon as long as he still had his physical body and strength. He could use saber techniques and archery. Bai Yun. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the other lutes before looking at Bai Yun. "My lord, I'm here." Bai Yun was stunned and hurriedly replied, "Your strength has also increased greatly, but you're still a step away from the legendary tier hero fate. This lord will give you a gift. I hope you can break through this bottleneck as soon as possible." After saying that, Zhou Zhou flipped his right hand, and a skill book appeared in his hand. It was the hero skill of the Heaven and Earth Heart arrow. He was not a hero, let alone an archery hero, so he could not use this skill book. The only suitable person in his territory to use this skill book was Bai Yun, the Blood Fire Arrow Elf. "Thank you for the reward, my lord." When Bai Yun heard this, she took it expectantly. When she saw this skill, she was stunned. Then, her expression trembled and her face was filled with surprise. She had only become a hero for a short period of time after all, and her foundation was still very shallow. Even though she had inherited the hero inheritance of the first-generation Bloodfire Arrow Elf and grasped all its hero skills and race talents, the other party had died on the battlefield when she was young after all, so it did not give her much foundation. Her most obvious and shortcoming that needed to be made up for was her archery realm. Archery was the foundation of her Bloodfire Arrow Elf status to begin with. It was also the foundation of her hero fate. If her archery skills could not reach a higher realm, it would be very difficult for her to break through the Bloodfire Arrow Elf's hero fate level slot and reach a higher level of fate realm. Previously, she had developed her own exclusive hero skill while cultivating in military formations, allowing her hero fate level to be upgraded. Actually, it was partly because she had taken a shortcut. Even though this shortcut could not be said to be wrong, it did not allow her to completely take another step forward and reach the legendary tier hero fate level slot. Bai Yun could feel it. He was only lacking in the archery realm. As long as she could make up for this shortcoming and create some hero biographies, she could completely advance to the legendary tier hero fate level slot. Actually, it was fine not to make up for this shortcoming. She felt that she could also advance by using the hero biography. However, a lot of them might be needed. Perhaps 4 to 5 more hero biographies would be able to completely advance her to the legendary tier hero fate level slot. It was difficult to give birth to hero biographies to begin with. She did not know how long it would take to accumulate so many hero biographies. However, if she made up for this last shortcoming, she might only need 1 or 2 hero biographies to officially advance to the legendary tier hero fate level. Thinking of this, she immediately knelt on one knee and said excitedly, "Thank you for the reward, my lord. This thing is extremely important to me." "That's good. Are you confident in advancing to the legendary tier hero fate level slot?" Zhou Zhou asked with a smile.
Yes.
Bai Yun's expression was grit. The Lord had already paved the way in front of her. If she still could not take this step, she might as well withdraw from the army. "Okay. You can learn this skill on the return trip." Zhou Zhou nodded. He was very satisfied. The gains this time were simply rich. Not only did Insight Defection have more than 70,000 fog monsters, he even encountered an opportunity to advance Bai Yun to the legendary tier hero fate level slot. Moreover, he had obtained all the loots of a Scarlet Hero, allowing him to add another hero slot. Not bad, not bad. This trip was not made in vain. "Yes, my lord," Bai Yun said respectfully. After that, Zhou Zhou and the others did not stay any longer. After asking Zhang Yu to convey to Li Yuangan that he had something urgent to do and had to leave first, Zhou Zhou and the others left the mighty kingdom. He had already activated Insight Defection on more than 70,000 fog monsters. Coupled with the death of the other party's Scarlet Hero, the combat strength of the Taiyan Kingdom had already decreased greatly. Even though they were still overwhelming in terms of military strength, the Aurora Kingdom had the geographical advantage. Coupled with the existence of the two extraordinary tier Aurora Kingdom heroes, even if they could not completely defeat the remaining fog monster army, it was not a problem for them to not be captured. It could be said that, even though there was still a crisis in the Aurora Kingdom, it was no longer a crisis of destruction. Next, he just had to wait for the Titan Kingdom and the Taiyan Kingdom to determine the victor before improvising. He also had to go back and continue dealing with the matters in the final battlefield. The final battlefield event would end in 2 days. At that time, the Myriad Races Lord Battlefield event would be settled. He had to try to fight for the position of the strongest lord of all races before that. Zhou Zhou and the others left the mighty kingdom and took the Starry Night to an uninhabited suburb 10 kilometers away. They saw more than 70,000 fog monsters there. "How many of you are left?" Zhou Zhou looked at the 9 extraordinary tier experts in the lead and asked. "Reporting to my lord. When we were retreating just now, more than 1,000 soldiers white silver tier and below died. We still have 73,021 soldiers left." An extraordinary tier elementary grade fog monster leader stood up and said respectfully. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Fortunately, the losses were not big. After that, he did not say anything else. He brought these monster soldiers into the Starry Night and returned to the mighty kingdom. He returned to the Blazing Sun territory through the spatial teleportation array. 15 minutes later in Blazing Sun City. After Zhou Zhou and the others returned, he asked Bai Yun to bring the new recruits to join the monster army. He went to the shelter of the Goddess of Life and found Carol Moali. The shelter of the Goddess of Life. In the prayer hall. "Greetings, my lord," Carol Moali said respectfully. "I'm here to revive someone." Zhou Zhou went straight to the point. "My lord, please follow me." Carol Moali didn't waste her breath and brought Zhou Zhou to the statue of the Goddess of Life. "My lord, please take out the resurrection medium." Zhou Zhou waved his right hand, and Li Yu's crystal coffin appeared in front of the statue. Carol Moali's expression became serious. She raised the scepter in her hand with both hands, closed her eyes, and muttered something. Gradually, an invisible pressure suddenly appeared around him. It was the pressure of a god spirit. This was the second time Zhou Zhou had experienced it, so he did not panic. Buzz. A buzzing sound could be heard. The surface of the statue of the Goddess of Life suddenly emitted a gentle and rich golden light. This golden light quickly covered the entire temple. Accompanied by the golden light was the extremely intense pressure of the god spirit law. Zhou Zhou's face gradually turned pale under the pressure of the god spirit nomological laws. He suppressed his discomfort and lowered his head. At the same time, he did not know if it was an illusion. Zhou Zhou seemed to feel the statue of the Goddess of Life glance at him. There was no time to think too much. He only wanted this great resurrection spell ceremony to be successfully completed. After a long time, the terrifying god spirit will finally disappeared in Zhou Zhou's perception. The moment this will disappeared, the golden light that covered the entire shelter disappeared. My lord, it's over. Carol Moali's voice sounded. Zhou Zhou looked up and immediately went forward to support the pale Carol Moali. How are you? My lord, don't worry. I'm already at the extraordinary tier elementary grade. Even though it's still a little difficult to use the Great Resurrection spell once, it no longer affects our daily movements. Carol Moali smiled. Zhou Zhou sensed her physical condition. He heaved a sigh of relief when he realized that even though she had indeed consumed a lot of energy, her body was indeed fine. It's good that you're fine. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. He released his grip on the other party. A hint of disappointment flashed across the depths of Carol Moali's eyes, then turned into a gentle smile. Let's go see the girl. She's fine now. Carol Moali smiled. Zhou Zhou nodded and turned back to see Leah looking at them. Zhou Zhou, what's going on? Am I not dead? Leah's expression quickly returned to normal. She touched her back and asked in surprise. She still remembered that she was returning to the capital with the diamond tier Aurora crystal and was about to return to the palace to tell her father the good news when she suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Then, she saw a dagger spike pierce through her heart and appear in front of her. Then, she fainted. Logically speaking, shouldn't she be dead? Why was she suddenly alive? I'll tell you slowly. Zhou Zhou walked in front of her and spent more than half an hour telling her everything. Of course, there were some things that concerned his secrets that he would not tell anyone. Even though the crisis in the Aurora Kingdom is still there, it's not so dangerous anymore. Zhou Zhou said in the end. Leah looked confused. She never expected this. So many things had happened in just 2 days. Aurora Kingdom was nearly destroyed by Taiyan Kingdom, and her father would actually give the entire kingdom to Zhou Zhou in order to revive her? Maybe. Her father was really tired. This might be a good thing for both father and Zhou Zhou. This thought suddenly flashed across Leah's mind. Thank you. Leah will definitely repay you for reviving me in the future. Even though I don't know how to repay you, Leah is definitely not an ungrateful person. Zhou Zhou, I want to go back and see my father first. Can I? Towards the end, Leah could not help but say. Logically speaking, she should stay here and thank Zhou Zhou because she had just been revived by Zhou Zhou. However, she really wanted to go back and see her father, who had done everything for her. Sure. I will arrange for an extraordinary tier subordinate and a starry night to send you to see your father as soon as possible. He should still be supervising the battle in the mighty kingdom. Show your identity there. Someone will naturally bring you to see your father. Zhou Zhou agreed without hesitation. Thank you, Zhou Zhou. Leah's lips moved and she said dryly. She felt that she owed Zhou Zhou too much. The next second, she felt a warm hand land on her head and rub it gently. For what? We're all friends. Zhou Zhou smiled and called someone over to make arrangements. After arranging everything, Leah bade farewell to Zhou Zhou reluctantly and left. Zhou Zhou did not stay here. Instead, he came to the gate of summoning and began today's fixed summoning. Prompt: do you want to summon immediately?
Yes.
Zhou Zhou looked at the gate of summoning in front of him. The next second, the gate of summoning suddenly lit up with a bright white light. Then, a large number of subjects walked out. The upgraded gate of summoning was much larger, so it only took less than 15 minutes for all 1,425 new subjects to walk out of it. Greetings, my lord, X1, 425. The 1,425 new subjects said respectfully. Welcome to Blazing Sun City. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he asked all the professionals to stand up and realized that he had summoned 85 professionals this time. There were 30 more professionals than usual. It was obvious. These 30 professionals were the professional subjects that appeared randomly among the subjects summoned. The other professional subjects were all fixedly summoned. Zhou Zhou was quite satisfied with this. Then, he began to check the information of these professional subjects. Among the 85 professional subjects were a white platinum tier elementary grade architect, a white platinum tier elementary cavalryman, a white platinum tier elementary grade archer, a white platinum tier elementary grade merchant, and a white platinum tier elementary grade beast tamer. The rest were life professionals and combat professionals below the yellow gold tier. Zhou Zhou looked at the 5 white platinum tier elementary grade professionals with a satisfied expression. In the past, these were 5 talents attracted by his reputation rating. Now, they had been summoned directly. Awesome. He wondered if the talent attracted by his reputation rating today would give him a surprise. It would be meaningless if another white platinum tier reputation rating talent appeared. He did not have to worry about anything else. Zhang Yuanqi had long set up a placement beside the gate of summoning. He was in charge of settling these newly summoned subjects so that they could find a suitable place for them to shine in the territory. Zhou Zhou was naturally not worried about their placement. First, he went to the golem lair and collected the 126 golems today. Then, he led his men to clean up the time ruins and led the soldiers to the monster ranch. There were already 15 monster ranches around the Blazing Sun territory, and each monster ranch had 5,000 fog monsters. In total, there were a total of 75,000 fog monsters surrounding the monster ranch to survive. His eyes were filled with the figures of the fog monsters gazing at the scene before him. Those who did not know the inside story would probably think that this was the kingdom of the fog monsters. Zhou Zhou and the other subjects of Blazing Sun City naturally did not have any misunderstandings about these monster ranches. They all knew that this monster ranch was his lord's greatest property other than the Jade Sun Fruit Forest. At the same time, it was an important source of resources for the soldiers of the Blazing Sun territory to increase their strength. The strongest fog monsters that can be nurtured in the monster ranch can already reach the white platinum tier elementary grade. It suits the current mainstream strength of the soldiers of my Blazing Sun territory. As for the equipment, skills, and other resources needed by soldiers above the white platinum tier intermediate grade, we don't have to worry for the time being. It can be provided from the territory of the high-level Scarlet Lord outside. Or we can continue to provide it when the monster ranch level increases in the future. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou felt a little complicated. Most of the credit for his soldiers being able to reach this place without lacking equipment, skills, and other resources fell on this monster ranch. Bai Yun, Wu Xian. Clean up the monster ranch. He stopped thinking about it and said to the 2 people beside him, "Yes, my lord." The 2 of them said respectfully and led the way. Then, he immediately called for the human soldiers to enter the monster ranch and begin to clean up the monsters in it. The number of soldiers in the 2 legions under his command, including the recruits he had just recruited, had reached 587,652 soldiers. With so many soldiers, the monster ranch with only 75,000 fog monsters was no longer enough. Therefore, Zhou Zhou decided to let the human soldiers use the monsters in the monster ranch to increase their strength first. After all, the monster army under his command was recruited by him with insight defection. They had a very strong strength foundation and did not need the monster ranch to upgrade them. On the other hand, his human soldiers had all advanced step by step. They still needed the monster ranch. Do I need to upgrade the monster ranch? Zhou Zhou suddenly thought of this problem. And now, as the number of troops under his command increased rapidly, the monster ranch could no longer keep up. 75,000 ranch monsters were not even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth compared to an army of nearly 600,000. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou immediately decided to upgrade the monster ranch. He did not hesitate and returned to the beginner grade Lord's Paradise. Then, he took out 10 yellow gold tier Lord Talent Crystal fragments and fused them into a yellow gold tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal. Then, he used it to upgrade the monster ranch. A text notification appeared. As you have 3 white silver tier Lord talents at the same time, Monster Ranch, Return to the City, Gift of the Machina, and Embrace of the Conqueror, please choose one to upgrade. I choose Monster Ranch to upgrade, Zhou Zhou said. He did not have any need to upgrade the Lord talents Return to the City, Gift of the Machina, and Embrace of the Conqueror for the time being, so he did not need to upgrade them for the time being. In any case, he could level up whenever he wanted with the Lord Talent Crystal Fragment. Keeping it as a backup might come in handy one day. Lord Talent has been chosen. Upgrading in progress. The next second, He felt a familiar warm feeling between his eyebrows. A moment later, the warmth faded. A new text notification appeared. Lord Talent upgrade successful. Congratulations, your white silver tier Lord Talent, Monster Ranch, has been upgraded to yellow gold tier Lord Talent, Monster Ranch. The yellow gold tier Lord Talent effect after your promotion is as follows. Lord Talent, Monster Ranch, yellow gold tier, Monster Ranch. Your territory has the method to build a special building, Monster Ranch. Zhou Zhou looked at the information of the yellow gold tier Monster Ranch and could not help but frown slightly, because he realized that this upgraded Monster Ranch actually did not change in the Lord Talent information at all. He thought for a moment and decided to ask Mugu. As the Monster Ranch owner, he should know best what had changed in his Monster Ranch. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou immediately walked out of the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise and walked towards the Monster Ranch. However, he was halfway there when he saw Mugu walking towards him quickly. Behind him were 30 unfamiliar human women in white clothes that looked like herders. "Greetings, my lord," Mugu said. The 30 female herders behind him immediately said respectfully, "Mugu, they are?" Zhou Zhou said in surprise. He had some guesses. "My lord, did you just upgrade Monster Ranch's Lord Talent?" "Just now, I suddenly felt that the Monster Ranch under my jurisdiction had undergone a tremendous change. Moreover, there are 30 more monster clergymen under my management. I guess that this might be the Lord's doing, so I brought them to see you," Mugu said respectfully. "So they're your new subordinates?" "TSK. That's right. I just upgraded your Monster Ranch. How is it? How do you feel?" Zhou Zhou asked curiously. "My current potential has already increased, and I can already nurture Lord-tier fog monsters. But it's not the kind of Lord-level monster created by the Crimson Overlord. It's a Lord-tier fog monster that only has the strength and loots of a Lord-tier monster, but no specific territory or Lord Talent. In addition, I feel that I can still manage an additional 15 monster ranches. The upper limit of the number of fog monsters each monster ranch can accommodate has also increased to 10,000. Mugu said with a smile. Zhou Zhou was delighted. He could nurture Lord-tier monsters? Wouldn't he be able to obtain special loots unique to Lord-tier monsters then? Zhou Zhou was already quite satisfied that Lord-tier loots could be dropped even though it probably wouldn't drop anything like a Lord token or a Lord Talent crystal fragment. If other Lords wanted to kill Lords, they had to specially go to the Scarlet Lord's territory and find Lord-level monsters to kill. His territory could already create Lord-tier monsters without leaving his house. Zhou Zhou felt comfortable just thinking about it. Not bad, not bad. I didn't upgrade your monster ranch for nothing. Zhou Zhou smiled and opened Mugu's personal stats. Subject: Mugu. Territory: Blazing Sun Territory. Life profession: Monster Rancher. Class: White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Combat class name: Monster Patriarch. Strength level: White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Ability overview: the Monster Rancher of the Monster Ranch is also a monster priest who is good at fighting fog monsters. He is proficient in communication, taming, and controlling fog monsters. There is a chance to upgrade a normal fog monster to an elite fog monster, or even a leader fog monster. Skills: Special Building, Monster Ranch, Patriarch's Imperial Token, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Summon Monster Shepherd, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Summon Ranch Monster, Green Bronze Tier. Fog Monster, Control, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Communication, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Taming, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Control, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Berserk, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Taming, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Control, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Berserk, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Fog Monster, Appease, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Loyalty: 100, Dead Loyal. Potential: Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou Zhou nodded. Not bad. His potential had directly increased from Diamond Tier Advanced Grade to Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. Moreover, Even though his life class was still the Monster Ranch Lord, his combat class had changed from Monster Shepherd to a higher-level Monster Patriarch. Zhou Zhou looked at the specific information of the 30 white-robed women behind him. He realized that their combat class was the Monster Clergyman class from before Mu Gu. Presumably, Mu Gu, the Monster Patriarch, controlled this group of Monster Shepherds. When Mu Gu saw Zhou Zhou's gaze land on the 30 Monster Shepherds behind him, he suddenly asked in a low voice, "Does my lord need them to serve you?" Even though they are Monster Shepherds, they actually have the ability to serve others. They can satisfy my lord if you need them. Aaliyah and the other two are still a little young after all. There are some things that they don't understand. What nonsense are you talking about? Zhou Zhou pushed Mu Gu away with a dark expression before he could finish speaking. He never expected this. Mu Gu, you're actually so lewd. You're usually so silent. I thought you were only interested in fog monsters. But then again, these 30 monster shepherds are indeed very beautiful. Coupled with this white clergyman outfit and the ersatz exoticism, Zhou Zhou held back from thinking too much and said, "Talk to Zhao Changshu about upgrading the monster ranch and ask him to build 15 new monster ranches with you. We can satisfy as much manpower and resources as you need. We must build them all before tonight. I want to use all 30 monster ranches at the same time tomorrow." "Yes, my lord." When Mu Gu talked about serious matters, he returned to his previous cold state. Those who did not know better would think that he was a handsome ascetic. Half an hour later, the 15 monster ranches had been completely cleaned up, with the effect of the perfect loots and his titles. He obtained a total of 461,256 green bronze tier mist cores, 183,355 white silver tier mist cores, 102,554 yellow gold tier mist cores, 41,002 white platinum tier mist cores, and 1,250 diamond tier mist cores. 219,633 soldier type class change certificates, 5,612 sword shield soldier recruitment books, 5,213 Pudeo soldiers recruitment books, 5,896 poison crossbow soldier recruitment books, 384 elemental archer recruitment books, 18,362 Aurora cavalry recruitment books, 35,000 Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books, 35,000 Violent Storm Spirit class change certificates, 72 Proof of Legion fragments, 76,325 True Faith tier Scarlet crystals, 11,022 Pious tier Scarlet crystals, 8,012 Fanatic tier Scarlet crystals, 24 White Platinum tier and Yellow Gold tier mount contracts. As for loots such as the Light Drawing Crystal, the Tree Core Gem, and the Elemental Gem, there was no need to elaborate. Zhou Zhou was quite satisfied when he saw the list. Due to the White Platinum tier loots that had already appeared in the 13 White Platinum tier elementary grade monster ranches, these loots added up to almost 2 to 3 times the value of the ranch products in the past. As for the number of soldier-type recruitment books, it also increased greatly. The number of soldier-type recruitment books produced today alone reached 7,593. It was comparable to the number of monster subordinates that Zhou Zhou had instigated from the 600,000-strong Fog Army today. Zhou Zhou handed the 70,000-odd recruitment books to his subordinates to summon through the Gate of Summoning. Then, he took out 200,000 soldier-type, class change certificates and excess loots from these loots and threw them into the marketplace. Then, he looked at the advancement of the human soldiers. A total of 91,225 of the 200,000 soldiers who cleared the monster ranch this time had been promoted. Among them, 2,013 had advanced to the Black Iron Tier Intermediate Grade and Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade. 27,124 people advanced from Black Iron Tier to Green Bronze Tier. 29,630 people advanced to the White Silver Tier. 11,204 people advanced to Yellow Gold Tier. 1,254 people had broken through to the White Platinum Tier. He now had a total of 658,245 subordinates. Among them were 97,000 2,690 black iron tier soldiers. There were 233,493 bronze tier soldiers. There were 132,583 white silver tier. There were 139,421 yellow gold tier. There were 41,680 white platinum tier. 1,366 diamond tier. 15 extraordinary tier. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. He felt even more confident about today's trip to the final battlefield. At this time, other than the lords of the Zergs who had specialties in breeding, his military strength could definitely be ranked at the front of the lords of all races. He was more confident that he could be ranked in the top 3 in terms of the quality of his troops. If it was a comprehensive ranking of the number and quality of troops, Zhou Zhou even felt that he was probably the lord at the top of the current lords of all races. Zhou Zhou only had the confidence to fight with the lords of those abnormal races for the position of the strongest lord of all races because of the existence of Nazario, Bai Yun, Wu Xian, and other heroic generals. After that, he did not stay in the monster ranch. Instead, he returned to the lord's shop beside the beginner-grade lord's paradise. Old Zhou, has the new goods arrived? Zhou Zhou stood outside the counter and asked. At this moment, Zhou Qingmin was sitting on the sofa, drinking tea and watching a television that he had obtained from somewhere. It was actually playing the former entertainment program of the Cerulean planet. After hearing Zhou Zhou's words, Zhou Qinglin stood up with a chuckle and walked in front of him. We're here. As he spoke, he took out 3 boxes from under the counter and placed them in front of Zhou Zhou.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.